Who made money today? Hands up first. God damn, that is really good. On top one futures accounts? Oh, that's even better. So we're going to talk about order flow. Zach, as you heard already, is like a expert in volume profile. Together, Bookmap, volume profile complement each other really well. Bookmap is what we're going to focus on for this section. Bookmap is also a sponsor. I have a link that I can save you some money if you want to sign up for 3 months. I think it's $147. So it's going to be the most expensive thing you buy because everything else is relatively cheap, but you get what you pay for, right? Like we're literally giving you an insight into where the market probably goes. So how much is that worth to you? So let's talk about it. Bookmap, I would say from like Scott Pulcini and some of these other people, it's a cheat code to see where the market might be going. Liquidity only can be seen like this in a centralized market. You cannot get information like this in the Forex market. You cannot get information like this in the crypto market. This works for stocks, this works for futures, and what underlies all that is the options market. So those three here are kind of coming together. There's actually add-ons that you can put on your Bookmap to show you key options levels. If you want to deep dive into Bookmap, Nick in the golf hat in the back, Nick, wave your hand. Nick is a Bookmap wizard as well, so he's someone to pick brain. We talked about this, so I don't need to linger. The brighter areas show us larger order blocks. The dark areas have less orders, less pull, and more space to slide. The volume balls are somewhat important. I don't really pay that much attention to them. I pay attention to the color, not the size. Super easy. Christine, get your mind out of the gutter. That was a good one, though. I'll give you that. CVD. There's your time of day at the top. This is at the bottom of the Bookmap every day. This CVD is the cumulative volume delta. It's going to sit down here and tell us, hopefully, which direction to trade. For example, on this day, I'm taking this picture at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Look at those orders up at 5,500. Where'd the market open over here? 5,400? So you're looking at a 100-point rally here. Those orders were on the book at the start of the day. Where did it tell you we were going today? Everybody see that? Where did it tell you we were going? Higher. We popped this thing open a little bit here on the same markup, especially at the open on the left side of the screen. Where was Delta telling us to trade to? There's some orders right there, there's some orders right there, but Delta just said straight up and nothing underneath, nothing. Maybe a little bit here, and they use that as support to go higher. See that? That comes on at 11:30. So do you see how when there's nothing, it wants that? Yes? Can I get a yes? So here's the settings. Get your phones out, because I know people are going to ask about this. In Bookmap, you'll see cumulative volume delta as an add-on. Inside the cumulative volume delta add-on, you want to have your reset points to market open 9:30 Eastern time every day. Questions about that? Because I ain't got much more to say. I just want you to copy it.
As you guys are taking pictures of it, yeah, you can scroll to the next one because this is simple stuff. It's worth it to note that Bookmap, first off, is super solid. Partnered with Bookmap myself, so can't stand to be unbiased. I think it's always good to say that. But it is 2 subscriptions. So it's Bookmap itself, and then you need level 2 data. So you can get level 2 data directly from Bookmap. You can get it from Rhythmic, DX Feed, but you do need some level 2 data subscription the same way that you would need it for any traditional depth of market. But it's worth noting that if you guys are going to go look up, Bookmap after this, which I'm sure many of you will, some guys go, well, what the heck is this subscription for level 2 data? You would need that for any form of order flow software that you would utilize as you're taking pictures of these settings.
Good point. Now, once you're in, the ESM5 is the current contract we are trading. You see the .CME, so we're tapped into the CME at Bookmap data. That's what he is speaking about. That's where you get your data. So Bookmap itself is your software. Bookmap data is going to provide you the ES feed that you need. If you want to do this with other assets, gold, oil, you're going to need different data feeds because you're literally basically hardwiring in from Bookmap to the CME or the centralized exchange. You'll need to keep both of these open if you want to run the Trader Map Lite. We're going to get into the Trader Map Lite now. This is going to remove the algorithms from your Bookmap. So if you look here, you're going to go to Configure Add-ons, take another picture of this. you're going to add the add-on called Trader Map Lite. It is included in your subscription. You literally leave everything else the same. This stays as is. You don't touch it. So just turn on the Trader Map Lite and then keep both of these open. If you were to look at this one, this is the one that Zach was looking at, it's crazy. It has an algo that trails current price at all times. You can't see any levels. When you go to the Trader Map Lite, it gets a lot clearer like this, where I don't see algos. And I can see very clearly what side of current price has more control. When you look at this one, what side of price has more control, the top or the bottom? You can say it. You ain't wrong. Top. Yeah, exactly. Is everyone following me? I want to make sure you guys are picking up what I'm putting down. Yeah? So who's in control here? Where are we more likely to move, up or down? All right, good. Okay, good to know. You need Bookmap data for Trader Map Lite. Of course you did. You just thought you'd have to be better than the rest of us. And how'd that work for you? No, you're right. So now let's talk about the current order book. This is going to show supply and demand before it happens. You're also going to be able to spot the spoofing and the games that we talked about earlier. You're going to really be able to see through speed of change where the market intends to move. The word intention is important because there's no guarantees, right? This is all probabilities. But this is showing us by tick how many orders are at each price currently, and it's constantly changing. So here at 54.80, we have 231 contracts. At 54.50, 74 contracts. Notice, this clearly stands out, right? Like everyone looked at this and saw this block down here away from current price. Everyone also saw 54.70, 54.75, and then the big one up here at 54.80. So what I want you to do is look at the numbers, okay? This thing is so easy, but I can't let you just default to looking at colors. And, oh, it's hotter up there, I gotta buy. No. You need to look at the current order book and understand who may be spoofing you as well. So you want to look at the numbers. 74 here, 230 here. Which one's stronger? Exactly. Now here's an example of the spoofing thing. So I have two prices here. 55.10, shown here, zoomed in. 55.11 3/4, shown here. You see that white line now? And here and here? So here, this block, which is dark red on the book, is 50% of it controlled by one person, one algo, one trader. That's what that means, because that line is 50% of the block. This one is like 90%, which means out of 108 contracts, probably 100 of them are one algo sitting there. Yeah?
You mean horizontally, where the white line is?
Yes, yes. So if there is no white line, that order is not controlled by one person at all. Sometimes you'll see the white line halfway or 30%, but usually not too far to the left. The white line will usually be midway or towards the right. Yes, thank you. Further right, more one person has. Yep. Everybody got that now? So, you see current price at 54.61, nothing underneath us. 65 has orders, 70 has orders, 75 has orders, and 80 has orders. When you look at this, what is the dark? Everyone now understands what the red means, right? We're all aware of what the red means. Say no if you don't understand. I want to make sure. Everybody got it? The red lines are the orders. So what's the dark mean to you, Zach? When you see a setup like this, no orders below, and then dark, dark, dark.
Low liquidity, area that we might move through quickly to that next area of liquidity. So again, just so you guys know what you're looking at, because when I first looked at this, just like I'm going to talk about the basics. When I first looked at this, I'm like, what is this crazy heat map looking thing? It's wild. All Bookmap is really doing, the way that we're discussing it right here, is displaying a traditional depth of market, which has individual price levels and then individual quantities of orders above and below price, resting sell orders and resting buy orders displayed by a heat map. So again, like oftentimes it's crazy to look at and say, what's all this stuff doing? Different colors changing rapidly. It's just making the DOM really easy to read, and it gives you a historical reading of that DOM, because the DOM changes in real time, and everything right of that line where the volume bubble ends and it turns to dots, that's your best bid and that's your spread, best bid and best ask. That just moves in real time. And if you run a traditional DOM, it's moving in real time. You can't go back and back test. You can't watch it. So. But again, this stuff is fairly simple. So again, what I see through this, again, in the very simple pattern recognition way that we're talking about it, I think we're likely to go fill those orders the same way when we hopped on the charts today, and it happened to be a good example of it. Doesn't always play out that way. We had orders up above. I thought we were likely to go fill those orders. If it lines up with market structure, price action, and trend, we got a little bit of that covered, but we're trending to the upside here as well. Buyers are taking this thing higher. They're overpowering sellers, positive cumulative volume delta. We're likely to go fill these orders. Another area of interest that I want to pay attention to on my chart. And again, just looking at this, the way that I would read it, I hop on the chart and I watch what's happening pre-market, and then within those first 15 minutes, if I note that there was a massive badass order of sell orders above price, we came up, filled, there were some other levels above, but we started selling off aggressively. Do I immediately start to get long because there's levels above? No, I watch how it reacts, and I anticipate it to continue to react that way. As in this example, and we saw today, buyers continue to outweigh sellers. We continue to want to go up and grab those levels of liquidity above price. Oftentimes, I get cautious, right, because they are sell orders. We do find resistance sometimes. So if I'm nearing a take profit, I'm a point above a big level, a stack of 200 orders. It's an added piece of information to say, maybe I just want to grab that take profit right there.
That's a great point.
I don't know that I want to hold all the way through it, but just kind of talking about the way that I look at it. And I will comment, there is an insane amount of stuff you could do with Bookmap. It gets very technical. They do a great site. They do a great job on their site if you want to learn about all of the narratives and market mechanics behind order flow. But I think it can be really powerful, the same way that I'm very technical and basic with all my stuff, to watch this play out over time, run it on the side before you're using it in your own trading, and you start to recognize things the same way that you do on a candlestick chart. So.
And in this example, well said, you can see it filled those dark areas quickly and then moved to 57.40, took those orders here, then moved to the block that was here at 75, took those here, look at that green volume ball here and here, and then as it approached the orders at 80, it comes off of those. Like Zach just said, when you're trading into a heavy block, this is a tip that's not written down, so listen. When you're trading into a heavy block, you have no issue front running it and getting out before the block fills. Do not get married thinking, we're moving up, it's gonna go fill that block above, and then it doesn't, and you're surprised. Part of the reason of that is if you look at this, at a 283, half of it, Anthony, half of it with that white line halfway is controlled by one algo. Maybe it didn't fill because that guy knows he doesn't actually want to get filled. So when you see a level you're trading to and there could be potential spoofing at that level, front run it. You're getting that bone, like I said. You're getting insight into the centralized order book. Get out before that becomes an issue with the spoofing. Thomas first, then you.
So I know you said you said you don't care about the size of the ball, you only care about the color.
Yeah.
How would you interpret this, the size on this one? Because
I wouldn't. The size is a subjectivity thing that you can control inside Bookmap. Yeah, so I can make mine bigger or smaller, and he might see something totally different.
Yeah, you can get
it's not objective.
No.
You can, if you wanted to, I don't at all. You could get really technical, like I was just talking about, and use a data tooltip and see exactly how many orders were filled at that level. Like if you wanted to see, for example, really, really zoomed in, that volume bubble and the volume traditional kind of down on the bottom, similar to a traditional candlestick chart, gives you the volume. If you zoomed in like crazy, and there's a little data tooltip, you could see hey, there was 100 lots. I want to know for some reason I'm going to use that in my trading. If there was 100 lots right there filled, I can do that. But to you guys' point, you can adjust the hell out of this chart, very subjective. As you zoom in and out, it changes.
But what you can adjust is those levels that come on the book.
No.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, hold on. Yeah, you're next. Hold on, Anthony. Go ahead.
So
we call that Jarvis, right, Nick? Jarvis. You go, this thing dings and tells you there's a large lot being filled. So it is an add-on you can get, right?
Yep. Yeah,
I don't know if you had more to the question.
Sorry, I've been trying to search and I didn't really get clear answers of how to really filter it, really looking more at the aggressive orders. So right now I've been using a separate swap type of thing.
So when you're saying aggressive orders, you're saying just market orders that are not on the book? Yeah, so that's not visible. But I'll comment first on the other thing. It's a really awesome add-on with just regular Global Plus to have that large lot, and they have something called sweeps and absorption. And it shouts out when high volume of orders are being filled or traded as you're trading. It's pretty cool. You can adjust it so it automatically does it, and it's great if I was live streaming or not paying attention. We come through one of those orders, it starts barking at you, which is pretty cool, audible alert. To that question, and maybe Titleist can answer this one even clearer. You can't see orders that are not placed in the market, right? Technically. We can see limit orders above and limit orders below, but we can't see orders that are not placed yet. Stop orders, they have stop trackers where they post as it like almost as it's happening afterwards, but technically you can't see that liquidity in Bookmap on the DOM. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Same with like icebergs and stuff like that.
That's what Nick uses.
Yeah. Again, there's a whole bunch of trackers, right? Because as Bookmap is doing what it's doing, and in real time orders are filling on both sides of the book, we're able to interpret that information, and a lot of those add-ons do it for us. Iceberging, a ton of stops being popped, it can recognize that and pop it right on the chart for you. But as far as, again, like at any time, anybody can come in, right, technically, and hit market buy 1,000 lot, right? That's not on here. It's not anywhere until that person presses buy. Majority of the time, you were able to see liquidity above and below price on the bid and the ask with Bookmap. That's what we're looking at.
Anthony? You could even, for sure. And then use 70 as support, right? Like, because if you're saying this ball here is telling me sellers are stepping in, if to show that they're absorbing, you would say this kind of yellowish red block here holding confirms it as support.
Not contradict what you're saying about the size of the volume of the balls doesn't matter, but you got that large red selling.
Just for clarity, everybody, the reason I said the size of the balls doesn't matter is because there's a slider on Bookmap that you can control them. Relatively speaking, if you shrink them, you'll have tiny, tiny ones and then some other small ones. If you make it as big as possible, you're going to have big everything.
But the size of each ball relative to the ball.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yes.
You see that large selling coming in, but there may be a lot of test buyers.
Yeah. Look at it. All in here. Boom, boom, boom. No. Those buyers kept it up. Right. Yep.
And even with the aggressive selling, the orders never filled there.
No.
So
Well,
and you can see
buy orders may be sitting there, passive buyer.
To balance it.
Look at the volume bars at that when that red ball fills. No selling volume, so it's like there's no follow through on that.
Good point. Randy's saying, look at the bottom here. No volume down there. That's a good point, too.
Yeah. There's so many. Yeah. There's. No, but again, it's the same way that we do with a candlestick chart, right? And the tools that we use. There's so many different narratives that you can understand and create around what's happening, and I think it's kind of, as long as you're objectively correct, you're not just making something up out of nowhere, creating a narrative from pattern recognition or from market mechanics, from auction theory, can all make sense. And again, there's so many different add-ons that you can add to this.
Crazy.
Just like a candlestick chart, you can really kind of custom tune how you want to, understand and look at this stuff. And again, the way that I describe it is a very simple: large orders, above and below price, pattern recognition, type of a way. How is price reacting to that? But if you want to zoom in heavy on watching, what's happening, are orders coming on and off the book? Where are they spoofing above and below price? Where are market, orders being moved above and below? Order book flips they talk about a lot. All of that stuff can be done. So again, there's, just like trade, so many different ways to go about this. It's awesome software, really is.
So here, another example. Look at the time along the bottom. Before market open, there's blocks at 52.48 here, a block here at 53, a block here at 56, all the way up to like 52.60 basically. What's interesting is that when you have blocks like that that are on pre-market, they tend, in my opinion, I'm curious if you agree or disagree, Zach, I find that pre-market blocks, if left on, usually want to get filled. Yep. And here, look at the noise at market open. See 930 right here? Drop, pop, back to the low, back to the high, down, and then it takes off. What happens before it takes off? Who can guess? I'll give you a hint. It's something down here. Before this takes off right here and starts to move into the block here, what happens here? What do you notice?
Orders start getting pulled up.
Not only up, but off. See how this got red and then turned blue, 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 dark blue, yellow, yellow, gone. See that? Exactly. They could be marketing it. So when the dark shows up on one side of price, it's telling us the price may move towards those liquidity pulls. Does that make sense? And you can see how easily that does. So now let me give you an example. This was a trade from a few weeks ago. We bought mid-range, similar to today, stop at opening range low, trade to opening range high. Stopped at 81 after it did not fill 5,500. See 5,500 right here? I got stopped in this first bar down right here off that opening range high. But what did I do? One off at 84, stopped on the other half at 81. I think I only had two on this trade. So I'm closing the trade as we move into that 5,500 level. Look at it. Here's the trade when I took the entry. Look at that heat block above, everybody. Do you see it? Yep. Come on, yes? Answer me. Do you see it, motherfuckers? Thank you. Jesus Christ. You pay to come to a seminar. You want to sit there and zone out? It's fucking red. It's screaming at you. So we buy into that level. I didn't get out full. You trail the stop on the second leg up because you are starting to think maybe Austin was right. And when we have hard blocks, maybe we don't fill them. What happens when it approaches it here? The ask, the red line goes into it, but the bids don't fill it. So it fills a couple and then dumps everybody. So this is an example of why I say you want to front run sometimes. Do not have a long at 54.70, take profit at 5,500. Take profit should be 54.97, 54.87 before that block. Does that make sense? It is a target. You don't have to get to it though. Simple, right?
Yep. Simple. Just to add to it, exactly what we're talking about, kind of what I was describing before. You can front run these levels, especially if you have a big standout one on the book like that. There is something above it, but not that much. They're also often at, like that's at 5,500, key round numbers, psychological levels. If you watch it side by side with a candlestick chart, they're often at these massive levels, right? Where it makes sense to be either cautious, targeting towards where I think we're likely to fill, but be cautious as we're getting there, right? It's kind of same way if we're gonna break a high, right? If you're gonna hold for an extension, what's more likely to happen? We come up and reject before breaking the high. We come up, reject after sweeping the high. We come up and break through the high. Reject before the high, then sweep the high, then extend above, right? So if you're gonna set a take profit, oftentimes you do wanna be cautious trading right through it. When it happens, as we're about to see,
next day, this is the next day,
there you
everybody.
go.
So that 5,500, same price that Zach's talking about, stayed on the book for 2 days, right? Dark. That's why I got these arrows here. Dark. Delta 6,000 right here. Positive delta. We trade higher into it into the afternoon. And then finally, like Zach said, it takes it and it goes. It takes it hard.
Yep. Similar to what we're watching today, right? We broke overnight high. Key area. Are we going to actually break out and get above that range? Kind of a decision-making point, similar to VWAP. If we do, and buyers vastly outweigh sellers, you give it a moment to open up, and then the market continues, it's a real big indication that buyers were lifting that. Now we are going to continue. Again, you can look at this stuff somewhat similarly to just standard market structure and key levels. Definitely. And I think if you think about it that way, it can be a little bit easier to interpret as well.
Another example. We were short. You could see my entry 55, 59, 50. Here's 55, 50. Delta's red. There's an example of a red delta. Look at the time. This is minute by minute. This is like 5 minutes here, right? Over the course of these 5 minutes, that 55.50 was the clear target. There's a little bit of heat here, 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 here. But look at the difference. Can everybody see how this red is different than this orange? See the slight difference? That red is the target. And then look, what's down here underneath it? Another target. What comes on here? Another target. What's coming on above? Somebody fucking say nothing? Thank you. Good. We're listening. Good. So now you can see when we're short, I'm only holding one contract. Why? Because when we got to that 55.50, I'm full out of that thing except for the one that I'm going to trail. Because I don't know what it's going to do at this level. I did not know it was going to slice through. That's not what I'm telling you guys. I don't know what it's going to do at those key levels. I know it's going to pull to them. And then I got to do something when we get there. Yeah? Yeah. Thank you, Frank. Another example. Oh, that's interesting. Short here on the break in New York VWAP. Stop is at the opening range high, trading towards the overnight VWAP and towards opening range low. 55.50, 55.50. Where did I close for? 55.50, right? I was out at here. You can see 59, 56, and 46, right? Come on. In my notes even, orders at 55.50 are the target. Do we lose connection here? No, this is, maybe we did. No, oh, now we're all over the place. We're lagging. It's this trade. This is this. That's why. 55.60 here, 55.60 here. Say 59, 59, 50. 55, 59, 50. Say that 5 times fast. So this trade here is this same setup here. 55.50, 55.50. So like I said, I'm full out except one contract. See, I have one right there, and then my note says close 4 or 5 right there. And what ends up happening? I get tapped on that last contract. So to the point of like whenever I try to trail, I usually get tapped on it. More to my point, the second you think, let me leave some of this trade on, just get full out. Just get another trade. That's the beauty of this conference too, is you're going to hear from different traders how they do it. You don't have to listen to me, but that's how I do it. I'll just take another trade. I'd rather that than have it turn around on me. Okay? Questions on Bookmap? Kind of a short slideshow for this one, just because we've talked about it all morning.
Yep. And guys, Bookmap has so many resources straight from their site. Again, it can get very, very advanced, or it can be very simple, the same way that all of trading can. I don't consider myself to be a genius. I use it in a stupidly simple way, and I find it to be very, very helpful. Coming from the Forex and CFD market where we have no reliable volume and order flow data, being able to utilize that, super cool. And again, it's different than any indicator or something that you would overlay on your chart because it's new information, right? It's live liquidity on the book. It's not time, price, and volume the way that we're often looking at that. So I think it'd be super powerful. I would exercise some caution if you're looking to add it to your trading, just because like anything else, it's new information that you have to process. It's not right all of the time. It's not like you see a big order and we automatically go fill the order. And if you are going to add it in, I would do it slowly, watch it on the side, start to get comfortable with it, or if you're thinking about experimenting with it.
Who's going to buy it? Who's going to get it now? All right, so we convinced 4 or 5 people. That's it. Why are you not going to get it? I'd like to know. Ladies, why are you not getting Bookmap? Frank? You already have it. Who else? Why are you not getting Bookmap? Speak up. I just want to know. I'm not offended. It's not my company. I could give a fuck. There you go. $150. Anthony will
in the
pay
back.
Anthony will pay for it for you.
The huge truck in the
What,
back
dude?
of the
I
room.
can't wait to hear this one. Let's hear it.
There you go.
All right.
No,
I mean, honestly, I'll take that answer.
Yeah. Well, so listen. So since nobody's answering it, right? There's going to be something for everybody, right? There's plenty of traders that trade well with or without order flow. You'll find guys on absolutely both sides of that fence. You can find them all over the place. So it's about finding what's best for you. I do think it's worth exploring, to a degree if you're trading futures, especially if you're trading the U.S. indices. But again, you might say, I got this locked in and it's working well for me, without this added piece. I'm going to kind of watch these guys from the outside for now. So not answering for everybody, but I'm giving you guys the out since you're all so quiet.